um, India, Kenya, and England and the U.S. represented here. So kind of United Nations. Let's see. So who was first? Hinesh, you were first to join. Why don't you give us your update?
Okay, so I submitted a pull request yesterday for the about page and also the update button, and I'm starting to work on the nav bar now. That should be done today as well. Not a big task.
And we're still waiting for images, right?
Yeah.
From Laura. Yep. She was standing up. She's made progress in standing up for local environment, so she can start working on that. As you know, her laptop is being repaired, so she has to stand it up on, I think, a Windows PC or something. Okay, good. I think, did I merge a PR of yours this morning, or I knew I looked at a PR of yours. I forget what I did with it. I don't know if I merged it or. Okay, but anyway, sounds good. Let's see, Sejal, would you like to go next?
Yep. So I did a code review yesterday. Then today I just submitted my PR. So it's basically for adding students' contribution statistics to the profile pages. So now waiting for the review.
Okay, great, good. And Sigu, how about yourself?
I promised you a pull request today, but I guess my brain has reached its limit right now. So maybe we'll do that tomorrow. The only issue that I'm facing right now is how to exactly write the test to replicate the scenarios that I was having. How exactly do I do that? So I don't know how busy you are after this.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, so I guess we can talk about that after this. So what I did today, I've cloned local support. I'll start working on the local support because some of the members of Code 90 started with local support, so I need to get familiar with it so that I can at least help them around when they're trying to work on that project. I was also part of the first meeting for the meeting that we attended.
For Visualizer?
Yeah, visualize, exactly. Yeah. So that's also a project that I'm interested in. And if any of you two guys are interested in it, kindly check it out. It looks interesting.
Yeah, I was at that meeting. I'm going to help out Laura in her project management duties. I'll take a look at the code too. Yep. Absolutely.
All right. So that's all for today.
So you're steering some of your students to Agile Ventures projects, is that right?
Yes. So I have one premium member. The others are not premium. I'm really encouraging them to join, and they might join through MetPlus or local support. And I really need to get familiar with it because they're a bit comfortable with the people they know. But I'm kind of trying to push them to get to talk to you guys so that we don't really form a cocoon over here. Yeah, but just to get the comfort first, I have to do the basic introduction.
Right, that's great. Good idea.
Yeah, yes.
So for those people who aren't aware, Sigu runs a code camp in Kenya called, I think it's 90 days, is that right?
Code 90.
Code 90, I'm sorry, because it's a 90-day code camp, right? I knew there was a 90 in there. And I think you've just finished up your second cohort, is that right?
Yep.
Finishing up? Yep.
Yeah.
Good, and I'm glad to hear you're steering them toward real projects on Agile Ventures they can get exposed to. So that's development. Good. Okay, so for myself, on the MetPlus project, Sam and I had a call with Hua this morning to talk about support options for the customer. The customer is approaching production at this point. All the MVP stuff is ready to go. We're still cleaning up some bugs and we're still refining our UI. Hinesh is working on a couple of UI stories, in fact, right now. We had a client meeting after that this midday, about 2 hours ago, an hour and a half ago. And we reviewed where we're at with the client. We showed them, software that's been produced since the last client meeting, et cetera, the usual stuff. And we talked a little bit about our projected cost for production of about $200 a month. And he didn't have any problem with that. He said he could swing that. So we proposed a go production plan of 2 phases. Phase 1 would be first 3 months. There would be no cost. We'll keep them on our low-cost servers because I don't think we're going to see really any huge volume. And then after phase 1, after about 3 months, we move on to production machines if we have to, based upon volume and a performance. And that's where we start incurring $200 a month, which would be paid to Agile Ventures, and then Agile Ventures would be responsible for figuring out what platforms we put the app on, and also be responsible to be the first line of contact from the vendors, etc. So that was all clear with Sam as well this morning. So we're all good on that, and the client is ready to go. So we gave him some questions regarding information we need to go into production. We'll be talking about that with him in the next client meeting a week and a half from now. We usually do it every other Monday. So yeah, I reviewed some PRs from Hinesh and Sagu, and I think that's it on Net Plus for me. But anyway, the good news is the client is ready to go into production and start using this thing, in which case we expect a lot of feedback on things that we did wrong, no doubt. On the Swedish Dog Industry Trade Association, I reviewed Ashley's pull request. She's got a pull request having to do with working out state transitions and business rules around membership applications. And so she's making good progress there. On the WikiEd story, I've finally got a chance to start the story that I'm working on, having to do with the diff viewer. And I'm kind of stuck on how to debug the thing. So Sajal, I don't know if you've got a few minutes to spend after this. Yeah. I don't know if you can help me. I know your experience is limited, but you're a lot more than I have. Would you be able to hang out?
Yeah,
after
I'll
the
be
Scrum
able
hour?
to hang out, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to help.
That's okay. That's all right. I have some, I think, pretty basic questions to ask, or question. Just not sure how to debug the thing. Okay, good. Let's see. So I guess that's it for Scrum. Unless anybody else has something.
I'll hang out as well, watch YouTube peer program because I want to get involved with Wikidi as well.
Oh, okay. WikiEd.
Yeah, wicked.
Sigo, you can hang out, or if you want, I could ping you after.
Okay, let me hang out for a while, then you see how it goes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
because
good.
it's way past 10 p.m. over here.
Yeah, that's late.
Yeah.
I would have been in bed a long time ago. I'm a very early, very early morning guy. So.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll hang around for a while.
Yeah. Okay. Good
All
enough.
right.
So Sajal, why don't I go ahead and share my screen and show you what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what I'm working on is a story having to do with the diff viewer.
Okay.
And the diff viewer, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it allows you to see differences between revisions of a particular page, or a particular article.
Yes.
And the idea is that we add some information to this view having to do with, I think, the last revision date and the number of bytes that changed overall from revision to revision.
Okay.
That kind of thing. So that's just real outline. We don't need to know all the details about what I'm doing, but that's roughly, as I understand it, what I have to do. So let me show you the code real quickly. So this is the diff viewer component at the top.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, so the display name is diff viewer, but it's misspelled. Is that intentional? Because the display name has to be different than the actual name of the React component? Or is that just a mistake?
I don't think it's a mistake, otherwise it would have been pointed out.
Okay, so all right. So I was just
Wait,
wondering
it's
about
just
that.
a display name, then it can be a mistake. Can't be,
Yeah. So when I actually when I look for diff viewer here, you can see that it's diff vi. It's misspelled here too. I don't know if you can see that. Okay.
Okay, then it's not it's intentional maybe.
Yeah, because the display name. It's okay. So either that's a mistake or it's intentional. Not a big issue. I was just curious about that. So what I'm trying to do is what happens here is this thing goes out and it talks to the Wikipedia API through this kind of stuff here to get revisions or the cumulative differences between one revision and another of an article. And it does various types. It can compare, you know, from revision N to revision M. It can, if it's only one version out there, it'll give you what's changed, I guess, in the first version, etc. But there are various versions, various variations on what comprises cumulative difference from one rev to another. So what I've done here is I've gone and, actually I haven't done anything. So what I'll have to do is I'll add some parameters to this API to return additional information that we can then show in the view. So that's essentially what has to be done.
Okay.
So I have to figure out how to do that. So what I'm trying to do, though, is just kind of get an idea of what this thing looks like. So let's see. So here's the thing that does the heavy lifting, that uses the API, fetch diff URL, does an AJAX call. It uses the URL set up prior to this that talks to the Wikipedia API server.
Okay.
And when it comes back, it sets, well, first of all, it sets this variable revision data. Can you see this okay, or should I increase the resolution of my
No,
screen?
it's okay.
Okay.
So okay. So depending on the state of that revision data, if it changes, then it changes the view accordingly, right?
Exactly. So
So
before
you just have to add few, like when the component pop-ups, then you have to add some more details, right?
I do. So first of all, I got to figure out how to obtain the information I'm looking for from the return data from the API. So here's the return data from the API, and it does this. This is probably defined somewhere in the Wikipedia API documentation, how to actually parse the data object returned. So I have to figure that out. But what's happening here, of course, is we're getting this revision data set to something internal to the data structure returned from the API. Don't know exactly how that's happening. But, and then in order to actually set variables that are used to render, first of all, we have this diff, which is basically the sum differences from one rev to another.
Yeah.
And it's this revision data. Evidently, there's a diff property in there, and we reference element, you know, asterisk here. Not sure exactly.
All of it. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and there's also a comment property to the revision data structure, JSON structure. Fetched is set to true, which is another state variable. And
Yes.
so what I did here was I just added for my own, just playing around, this variable called I am here. Variable,
Okay.
I'm just calling it true Boolean. So this is all, I just introduced a state variable here. Nowhere else in the code am I doing anything with I am here. So hopefully that's okay. I think you can introduce state properties anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I do
You have to
that,
initialize it though.
I do have to initialize it. Where would I do that?
Like set initial, sorry, not get initial state. There'll be that function, right,
So
in the component.
at the top there is this, so I can do this. I can do something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So get initial state. Let's see where else hide. Okay. All right, so I'm initializing it here. Good to know. Maybe that's why it's not appearing. And then I'm going to set it to a value once we get the diff data back, and then I'm going to see if I can see that in the state variables in the dev tools in Google. So here I am, and you can see I searched on this. Here's my component diff viewer, and I can see my state variables here, including fetch. There's fetch, but of course I'm missing the I am here, probably for the reason that you just said. So let me
Reload.
go ahead and reload this screen. So there's my articles. I click on an article, and this is the thing that loads the diff, the diff viewer component. So I'll say show cumulative changes. I'll do a search by name, diff viewer. Excuse me, there it is. And you can see on the right-hand side there, I don't see that new variable added to my state variables here. So that's one of the things I'm confused about.
Where is the click function? Like, where is it executed?
Where is what executed?
Um,
Where does the diff viewer get loaded?
yeah, yes.
I think so if we go back, so here's, let me just set this up. I click on articles. This is
Yeah.
associated with this test campaign. And then if I click on a particular article,
Yes.
then I get these buttons.
Yeah, so these buttons, where are they like called?
That I'm not sure of.
That is where you'll have to, your variable, I mean, they'll be in components. One second.
But
Assets, JavaScripts, and then components. And in there, they might be, we are at campaigns, right? No, articles.
yeah, so
Articles, then articles handler, I guess.
let's see. Articles handler. So I see that you're looking at where diff viewer is being invoked. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see. Is that? So it looks like activity table row, article drawer is invoking it here. Diff viewer, of course, is the one that I've been working on. Revisions.jsx invokes diff viewer as well. So there's different places that this diff viewer is called from. So you want me to select a particular one of these, like maybe this one here? No, that's not an invocation of it.
Can you, like, I can't see.
You can't see? Okay. So I'm bringing up revision.jsx. And it's got diff viewer here. And it's just calling it with props. So the reason I'm confused is state belongs to diff viewer. Those are state variables for diff viewer. So I
Yes.
should be able to define state variables within diff viewer component. Since they're not props, the parent, somewhere up at the parent change, I'd have to define a new prop variable. But a state variable I can define within the component itself, right?
Yes. Yes.
So question is, why isn't that working? If I've got my initialized state with this, why doesn't that state variable show up over, let's see, let's get that, over, okay. So what I gotta do is I've gotta click that to load this, change the state. But anyway, so why doesn't that state variable show up over here? This is what I don't get.
Okay.
You see my question?
Is that function imported in another component and then used?
Is
Sorry, is that component like imported in another component and then used?
well, let's see, is it, if there's, well, there's an import statement in the activity row right here. So it's imported here, it's imported here. It is imported here. So there's three different components that import that component and use it.
Is it imported in the articles available actions, or I don't know?
Say it again, Sajal?
Like the view which uses it, it's related to articles, right?
Yes.
So it might be imported in that and then used there, right? Like,
Yeah, so here's an example. So this is article drawer, which sounds like it has something to do with articles. So it imports the diff viewer here. And then, let me see. See where it's, so diff viewer is being assigned here to that component. And then what's happening? Yeah. Okay. And then in the render, it's exposing diff viewer here. It's incorporating diff viewer as a component within whatever it's doing. But I don't see it doing anything with respect to diff viewer state variables, right? It's passing, should be passing properties,
It's
which it
like
is.
if
These are,
that
sorry,
yeah,
go
so
ahead.
if you have to use that state in this like if this is related to the button which we are currently working on, uh, so if it's importing that um, the reviewer component, then you have to pass that state in a function to this component and then use it.
Okay, so can't,
Like props, states can't be like used as props. You know, props they don't need to be sent as attributes to another component. But states, when you can't like states are not automatically passed. You need to pass a particular state in a function.
got it. So here, this parent component is passing properties, props. It's using its own internal state to get some of the properties, like this dot state, right?
Yes.
Stop doing that. Stop doing that. But what I don't understand, state though, that the state variables I'm talking about belong to the diff viewer. They're not parent state. They're diff viewer state variables. So, and so initial state. So show diff is a state variable for the diff viewer, not for a parent, because it's not being passed as a props.
Yes.
It's its own state. So I thought, maybe I'm wrong, I should be able to introduce another state variable here within diff viewer, because this state variable belongs to diff viewer, not a parent. So it shouldn't have to be passed in from a parent. Do I have that wrong? So state exists all up and down the tree, right? And each component can have their own state.
Yeah.
And that state can be managed within that one component. And you can add state variables as you need to within that component state.
Yeah, within that component. But if you're importing it in another component, then it can't be used.
Okay, so explain, so you're saying there's something special about the import statement that I need to be aware of. So can you explain that again?
I'm not sure, but I'm just saying if this if this particular component has been imported in the views page with the button, the on-click button function of the, like if I'm just saying there's another component which is used for handling the on-click function, on-click action of the button,
Yeah.
and then this state, this state is imported in that component.
Hmm.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Then that particular state needs to be like passed as an attribute to this component.
As an attribute, you mean as a props slot?
Like in a function.
Like an, okay. All
Uh,
right. So if the event handler for when we clicked on, go back to this. So if the event handler for clicking on this button is handled at the parent level, then the state variable the state for the diff viewer may actually reside at the parent level, because that's where the on-click handler is being managed or being
yes.
activated.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let me pursue that then. That may be what's happening here. Okay. I'll have to go back and review how state and handlers get managed by the parent with respect to state. Okay, that gives me a new way to look at this then. Great. One more thing I want to ask you, Sajal, and maybe you don't know this, but if I'm looking at, let's see, if I'm looking at this, well, actually, let me just go to the editor. And let's say that I want to, what do I want to do? Let's say, so right here, I want to stop execution of this component. And I want to do, I don't know, what is it, debugger? What is the equivalent in JavaScript? Or something. I want to stop and put a breakpoint in here, or I want the debugger to kick in and execution stop. Can you do that with JSX files? Can you put, because from what I can see, even in the dev tools, I can't really go into the source of a JSX file and put a break in there. I've actually tried to do so, but it didn't work. Do you know of any way to do that?
No, I don't have my hand in debugging.
Okay. From what I can tell, the JSX, of course, is compiled into JavaScript. And so we've got these JavaScript files floating around.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, so actually if I go into here, see what I see? So if I look at assets in our directory in our development tool, I would see a bunch of JSX, well, I'd see a bunch of directories that contain JSX files. Here, when I look at this within the dev tools, all I see is main and Raven, or main.js here. And I suspect main.js is a compilation of all of the JSX files that we have compiled into JavaScript.
Yeah.
Is that what you understand? So that really I'd have to figure out how a JSX is represented within this compiled JavaScript, if compiled is the right term, file, and put a breakpoint in here, I guess, if I wanted to do that. I think that's probably what I'd have to do. It's pretty big. To me, it looks like it might just incorporate all the JSX files.
Yeah, if
Mashed
it's
into-
directly under JS, then yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me know if you figure this out.
Oh, I will. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm
Yes, I'll try.
kidding. No,
Even
don't
I
try.
should like debug and yeah.
No, it's my problem. So you gave me another way to approach the problem, which I'll look at what the parent is doing, especially with the on-click handler being handled at the parent level, and if that affects how state variables should be set up that are used by diff viewer. That's something I hadn't thought about. Reflects my lack of React knowledge, I guess. So that's good. That's helpful. Yeah, if I find out how to do a breakpoint in JSX code or React component code, as opposed to the compiled JavaScript version, I'll let you know. I've done some Googling. I can't find anything that refers to that. I don't know if it's available. Looks like it's not. I was hoping you knew how to do that, but
Sage
find
will
out?
be there for rescuing. Yes.
what's that?
Sage will be there next week, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he can help with that too.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for your help. Thank you for looking at that with me. That gave me another avenue of inquiry here. So that's great.
It's great. Even my understanding of that improves. Yeah.
We'll help each other then.
Yes.
All right, great. Okay, well, thanks again. Anybody else have anything before we wrap it up?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, great. All right, thanks all.
Thanks.
We'll talk to you next week then, huh?
Yep. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.